So, band, this is for you. You'll notice if you're looking around, this is not a full auditorium, nor was it intended to be a full auditorium. There are a few people here, like parents. There's your administration here, like Principal Epting, like your assistant principals. Okay, this is not for the school necessarily. This is because of the hard work that you have put in, and because of the reputation of this program and this band. With that being said, I know that we're in the middle school, and I don't want to keep you longer than we have to, so we're going to cut right to the chase. I would like to introduce to you the Executive Director of London New Year's Day Parade, Mr. Robert Bone.
Oh gosh, you're a long way away up there. I would like to, first of all, echo what Mr. Procurat said about your performance. I have no idea whether it's the best you've played, but I tell you, I don't think you could possibly play better than that. I thought you were really quite superb, and congratulations, thank you very much. And also, thank you for welcoming me with a familiar tune today on the steps as we came into the school. You played it better than most people I've heard play it. So very well done all round. Why am I standing here today talking to you? Well, that will all be revealed a little later on when I introduce to you somebody much more important and much more special than me. But I'm the sort of warm-up act, if you like, and will try to warm you up. Not that you need it with the weather that you have outside, which is somewhat dissimilar from that which we left behind in London a few days ago, and I'm told very dissimilar from that which we're going back to horribly in a day's time. I am the Executive Director of London's New Year's Day Parade and Festival, actually. And maybe I should explain to you what that event that I am the director of is all about. Well, the giveaway's in the name, really. It's a parade, and it's in London, and it's on New Year's Day, London's New Year's Day Parade. We started the parade in London in 1986, with the first event actually taking place on the first day of 1987, which makes us relative newcomers to the major world parade scene. But we've got to let you have some things older than we have, and there aren't that many. Now, we have grown very, very quickly to be a very, very large and very, very spectacular event. We like to call ourselves, and nobody generally argues with me on this, we like to call ourselves the greatest parade in the greatest city in the world. Greatest city in the world, we'll start there. That, of course, is arguable, but certainly one of the greatest. I'm sure you saw our city of London looking at its very best in recent months with the Olympic Games coverage. Did many of you watch any of that? We like to think we did it pretty well, and of course you came away with the biggest medal haul, so obviously we did something right for your athletes. I won't attempt to go any further in justification of calling it the greatest city. Let's suffice to say it's one of the greatest. We have enormous amount of history and culture to be seen in and enjoyed in London, and I'm sure you know an awful lot about it without me having to tell you now. Greatest parade, though, that's a bit more difficult to justify, but I'm going to try. Well, we're not the oldest. We've already gone past that one, skipped neatly by. However, in terms of the number of performers we have in the parade, we have long ago exceeded a few little events that you have over here, like Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade and a thing out on the West Coast, the Tournament of Roses. We have around about 8,500, sometimes 9,000 performers in our event on January the 1st each year. And they entertain, those performers entertain a street audience on our wonderful route in London of around about 2/3 people. Always 2/3 people, whatever the weather. Of course, the weather is always good. And you believe me. 2/3 people come out and see us, and 2/3 people stay on the streets of the city of Westminster, which is the heart of London, for 3 hours and 46 minutes this year, generally about 3.5 hours, which is a tribute to the standard of performance that those people see on the streets of Westminster. What do the performers get out of it? Well, they get a fantastic, fantastic amount of pleasure from giving that pleasure to those 2/3 people. And they also get a huge buzz from walking on a route that starts outside the Ritz Hotel on Piccadilly and passes through Piccadilly Circus, Regent Street, Trafalgar Square, Whitehall, and into Parliament Square. Some names there, I expect, are familiar to you. Then, of course, there is our television audience, something of which we are very proud with the event. The television audience on January the 1st this year, and it's a worldwide audience, from Australia through China, through the whole of the Far East, Middle East, Near East, across the Americas, through the Caribbean, everywhere. And last year our TV audience was audited at 280 million people. So, when you take part in this parade, you are big stars somewhere for a nanosecond somewhere in the world. Now, obviously, only the very best groups of people from the United States of America, and indeed from all over the world, get invited to come and perform in this event. And your high school was recommended to us because of the excellence of your performance and your reputation for performance. And we asked the steering committee to consider whether or not they would be prepared to issue an invitation to you. I have nothing to do with the deliberations that decide who will be invited. But with us today, there is somebody who does have a great deal to do with that. He sits as chairman of the committee that decides who will receive the invitations. He is going to speak to you next and tell you what the result of those deliberations was. So, I suggest you give a warm welcome now to the Deputy Lieutenant of Greater London, a gentleman who has been closely associated with London's New Year's Day parade and festival for a good number of years. In fact, since the very beginning, when he served at that time as the Lord Mayor of the City of Westminster. Subsequent roles have included High Sheriff of Greater London. I think he'll explain that better than I could. And now represents Her Majesty the Queen for the London New Year's Day parade. So, will you please welcome Roger Bramble.
Good morning. Am I heard? Can you hear me? I never know where to put this thing. And thank you very much indeed. I think that Georges Bizet will be telling in his grave that was an absolutely spectacular account of a medley from Carmen, one of my favorite operas. So I thank you for that, as well as the amazing way that you actually rendered it. Bob, yes, he mentioned, right, let's do the easy things first. A number of weird titles I have held, and the easiest one to deal with is the High Sheriff. In many ways, high sheriffs are the antecedents of your sheriffs, but we became very, shall we say, visual rather than operational. And the last function that I was required, and mercifully never had actually to undertake, required to fulfill, was to yank at the feet of a hanged person to make absolutely certain they were dead. I have to tell you that it was a great relief I did not have to undertake it. I feel that it's obligatory to, in some way, to excuse my interrupting the school day by giving an account of myself. Bob also said yes, that I am the Deputy Lieutenant of Greater London, and that is a little bit more functional. You, in this country, have what is considered to be the envy of the world in terms of constitution devised by those great statesmen, your founding fathers, and it keeps you on the straight and narrow. We have been sort of stumbling through history for many hundreds of years with no constitution, and the bulwark against things going wrong is, in fact, the monarchy, a job currently occupied by Queen Elizabeth II, who it is possible you saw doing something inappropriate for her years when she appeared to parachute out of a helicopter to the opening of the Olympic Games. It was only an appearance, I have to assure you. She is ever young, but even in spite of that, she cannot undertake all the functions which are imposed on her by her loyal subjects. So she appoints a Lord Lieutenant in every county, your state, and he in turn would have a deputy, and that is where I come into it. It's a very nice job, insofar as maybe Bob pointed out, I was once subject to the tyranny of the ballot box, and it was a great relief to exchange that tyranny for the relatively benevolent authority of our monarch. And we're not paid, but we are allowed to choose the functions which would particularly appeal to us. And as music has always been my abiding passion, and I mean that quite seriously, to be able to snatch any musical events as they come out of Buckingham Palace has sort of upheld me in my travels. I want to add a parenthesis here. You probably are aware of it, but it's only been reinforced by a great deal of academic evidence recently, and that is my anecdotal belief that kids who practice music are greatly enabled in the disciplines which are not related to music. And that has now been proven beyond any doubt. You may not know it, but you apparently vote in greater numbers than those who don't play. You are more likely to volunteer, and generally your minds are more open than those. Now, why it is, I think they're still establishing, but it's a very important fact, and it means a lot to me in my passion for music. I've done music myself with less success than most, certainly less success than you. I was dissuaded from playing the violin at an early age because he simply couldn't bear it any longer, the man who was teaching me. I still am a keyboardist, but I noticed invitations to play at church services are ever fewer, and I suspect that the congregation tends to drop after the experiences had been had. Sad. Now, those are, shall we say, my credentials. I've never done this before in this format, but I have here an invitation to the band to come to London at the end of next year, which I'm going to read out. I will give it to your distinguished band director. But before I give it to you, I want to have your assent in great volume, if you please. So when I get to the end of this, please may I make quite certain that you want to come, as I'll be listening. It reads, in recognition of an unparalleled reputation for outstanding performance abilities, the patrons and the organising committee of London's New Year's Day Parade and Festival, in association with Youth Music of the World, the Lieutenancy of Greater London, the City of Westminster, and the London Mayors Association, take great pleasure in extending an invitation to the Lyon High School Band, Florida, USA, to participate in the 28th Annual New Year's Day Parade and Festival, to be held in London, England, between December the 27th, 2013, and January the 4th, 2014. Do I give it to him? Now, it's a distinguished tradition that people wandering into communities where they're not certain how they're going to be received should bring trinkets with them. And subject to the weight restrictions of international flight, we do have some trinkets here. And may we please ask some of you to come forward. I suspect the band director's got to come back pretty quickly. Keeping
Not that quickly.
No, it's not that quickly.
Not quite that.
Oh, no, yeah. Not yet. Not practically.
Shall I do it?
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
The gifts are small, but rather wonderful. First of all, I mentioned to you that the parade is held in the City of Westminster. The City of Westminster is the heart of London. It is where just about everything happens. It's the seat of government, it's the seat of monarchy. It has all of our, virtually all of our cultural activity. And so when you think London, you really are thinking Westminster. As I mentioned, Mr. Bramble was once, in the dim distant past, the Lord Mayor of the City of Westminster. Not dim or distant past, sorry, recent past. I'm going to suffer now, I can tell you, for the rest of the day. And therefore, this is an official visit from the City of Westminster to Lyon High School, and it is therefore appropriate that we present the coat of arms of the City of Westminster to the school, and that, of course, should be received by the principal of the school. So, Mr. Epting, if you'd like to receive the coat of arms of the City of Westminster, on behalf of Leon High School, we should be grateful. And also, personally to you, we are going to present a set of City of Westminster cufflinks.
Very, very pleased that we were able to meet today, and thank you for coming to listen to us. Deputy Superintendent Marvin Henderson, would you please come forward and receive a set of cufflinks from the City of Westminster from the Deputy Lieutenant? We have to be nice to superintendents because it is they eventually who have to give permission for the group to accept the invitation. So we're being nice to him still at the minute. Now it is Mr. Procurat's to come up and receive some cufflinks and a paperweight to keep on your desk, which I'm sure doesn't need a paperweight, Mr. Procurat. I'm sure there's never any paper. And then well, marching bands don't exist, students don't exist without parents. But marching bands rely a great deal on parent activity to make them function. And as a token, we should like to present Melanie Goodson, the band booster president, with the pin of the City of Westminster and a paperweight to keep all those papers down. Now then, we would like, I see band rushing back to class, but hopefully there will be drum majors still in the room. And if they are, would the drum majors like to come forward and on behalf of the band receive either cufflinks or pins, depending on their gender, thank you. What a good job you did today, yeah.
You did. Now that's a pin. Oh, okay. Now you got to toss up a pin. Do you ever wear shirts with cufflinks? No. So you've got to have a pin. Do you ever wear with cufflinks? I do.
There we are, it works perfectly. So we said that they were very small trinkets, and indeed they are, and there goes the bell. One very quick message, if I may. This is for the band, and this is something that I have to do. Something that I have to do for the younger members of staff in my office. It's something I don't really understand, but I'll go through it very, very quickly. It's to do with a thing called Facebook and another thing called Twitter. I know nothing of it, but I seem to think you probably do. What we would like you to do now is we'd like you to go to our website, which is called LNYDP. It's easy, really. London's New Year's Day Parade, lnydp.com. And like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And you will see yourselves there tomorrow. And a big splash about the fact that we have come here to invite you to our event, and then keep following us for a while. I know it's a bit presumptuous, or it seems so to me, to ask you to like us without knowing us, but I'm told that's what you have to do on Facebook, and it works. So thank you very much indeed for a terrific performance today, and I look forward to seeing you in London at the end of next year.
Okay, yes. All right, so band, just to show our gratitude and our reciprocated appreciation for these gentlemen that have made the long trip, we have a gift for Mr. Robert Bone, who is the executive director of the New Year's Day Parade. So go ahead and give him a round of applause, please. He says, "Is it edible?" You can try, but it might not taste too good because it is, if you wouldn't mind pulling it out. Yes. Thank you, gentlemen. It is actually an encased version of one of our uniforms. So that is one of our old... That's one of our old uniforms that is modeled after the West Point uniform. That's actually modeled after the West Point, and just they changed the colors and made it our own. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
It's a culmination of a lot of years of hard work by all the band programs, all the band members that have come before the ones that are here, and all the band directors that have been here before. They all played a part in building the reputation of Leon High School's band. And this is kind of the culmination of all those years of tremendous excellence, and they're getting rewarded by having this wonderful invitation.
It was a phone message that was left, and I listened to it, and I was in my office by myself, and there was a moment of disbelief. I was like, this can't be real. Being the first year, I was completely overwhelmed and feeling a little undeserving, to be quite honest, because I had just gotten the job. But I listened to it, and then I really let it sink in, and then I was like, this is real. I did my research, I looked at the website, and I realized this is a real opportunity for our kids to expose themselves to culture, to travel, to have a musical opportunity, a once-in-a-lifetime, truly once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So they deserve this so much, because I hold them to such a high level of dedication and performance that this is the smallest thing that we could do to give back to them, is to do something like this, to show them that we appreciate them. So it was great to see the reaction. Yeah.